So, this is a bunch of evidence. Um, this is Rose M. Kelly, aka Rose M. Self, aka Rose M. Bollinger. Now, for over a year, I took abuse over this alcoholic's schizophrenic delusions. Yes, schizophrenic delusions. I do not have the qualifications to diagnose her as schizophrenic, but her lunacy is beyond all doubt. Now let's show you the information I got for Christmas. You see those guys? The first one wrote, "Your suffering is funny." The second one typed, well, these are two of the predators that have been harassing me and threatening me since, I don't know, I want to say 2021 or 22. This is the A&E thing. We're continuing with the evidence of the abuse. Yeah, the only person to contact me for Christmas is predators. People who threaten me, people who harass me, people who have assaulted me. I did see John Focius today, but there was a lot of people there, so he didn't try anything. I did at one point get yelled at, but can't stop that, right? And it's all because of this. See, I try to explain about the reality and the truth of it. Rose Self, here, this is Natalie's mom. They wanted to pretend that I threatened their family in Virginia. That's what they did. They pretended that I stalked Natalie in Virginia. And just like the piles of paperwork that I've been showing you that show that I told the truth about the mentally ill thing the whole time, all these people had to do was call me mentally ill. Rose, she harassed me in a horrible way on posts on my Facebook that weren't about her daughter. One of them was about a woman named Mandy Singer. Her son was missing. So Rose got on there and wanted to type some mean stuff and call me a stalker. And where's her daughter at? Through all that, I was only interested in helping to get her daughter somewhere safe. Now there's a video in this of me actually talking to the Broomfield Police Department. That's an important piece of evidence too. This is stuff that Tillamook County and, well, many counties in Oregon, Washington State, let's see, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado all wanted to pretend that I was schizophrenic or delusional to prevent me from having my rights, prevent me from being heard, try to convince others not to hear me, to convince others to harm me, and they did. They did harm me. See, while Rose M. Kelly wants to play victim, and Natalie Bollinger wanted to play victim, the fact is you can't find literally not a single threat against their life from me. Not one. Not one threat of violence against them. Not even one. Ever. Not one accusation through any of this from Natalie Bollinger claiming that I was a child molester or a rapist or anything like it. Rose M. Kelly also got another post. That's right. 3 people went missing that day. I made 3 missing persons posts. As soon as Shauna Sinclair let me know what was going on with her daughter, who was missing at the time as well, I posted that up, and Rose got on that and was extremely, extremely just ungodly horrible. During this time, I was having hundreds upon hundreds of people harassing me, and there were literally thousands of views on just a couple of videos. They didn't care about me speaking out prior to just a couple of days before Natalie died. They didn't go back and take a look at all of the occasions that I had spoken out about the threats, the harassment, the abuse, the assaults. Matter of fact, at one point they take a video in here that was from my YouTube. It was a video where I exposed Ted Bollinger with Natalie's email. Isn't that horrible? I shouldn't have had to. So that's what Rose Kelly did. She also coordinated with people who were assaulting me. She was friends with them. She's not going to do this herself. She's going to have other people harm me for her. That's what slander does. That's what gaslighting is for. They wanted to pretend that I killed Natalie, pretended that I had Natalie, so on and so forth. This is horrible.
And I put it on Facebook that she was missing. I was terrified of being so far away. I remember calling the detective that had been assigned the case. I just said to him, "You need to take this seriously." I flew across the country on a red eye. I didn't get a wink of sleep that night.
I didn't either. See this one right here? I had to call them repeatedly and coordinate through a detective in a different jurisdiction named Detective Mark Hyatt in order to try to coordinate to get my computer and my phone and all of the evidence against Ted Bollinger and Tim Beeson, all of the evidence that I was trying to get a stop to this, that people were hurting me, they were threatening me and my friends, they were making fake accounts pretending to be my friends. Rose was able to pretend that she was a Christian to try to convince people to do things for her. A lot of people got a hold of me and wanted to call me a devil worshiper and a lot of other crazy stuff. Let me show you something, okay? While these people pretended that I threatened them, okay, I want to show you what I have to actually go through. Let me scroll through this. I sent this to an investigator here in Tillamook who wanted to pretend that these were threats against her. No. This is what people send me because of stuff like this. This is what people send me. It's not just Rose. It's not just Rose Kelly. Her and many others coordinated across jurisdictional lines to see me hurt repeatedly. There's a lot more here, a whole lot more here. See, threatening my life, calling me a homosexual over and over and over again, telling me to kill myself, pretending to be friends of mine. Now let me show you. Obviously, you got to see those threats against my sister. Let's take a look at these. All of those are within like an hour's time. Look at that, 6:14 to 6:51, 6:54, sorry. You see how many restricted calls those are? And police officers would only call me from restricted numbers. How about this one? That one's not nice either, is it? No, but Rose didn't care. She definitely didn't care. That was what they sent me for my birthday. You see that? How sweet of them. This is from my little sister Tara. She typed that she made it home safely. I typed very good. Then she typed to me, I was followed by cops. Then had some guy threaten me that if I don't walk away now, me and Destiny are going to get hurt or even killed. So I spoke up about it right away. I went online about it first. because the police talk me in circles, pretend that I'm delusional. Everywhere I go, they do this. I've got a whole channel that's full of evidence, and I've been pulling it together best I can again to try to get it put together in some fashion somebody might be able to look at it without getting bored. I hope. So let's play this, and you're going to get to see that they intentionally bleep out a whole bunch of stuff that is super important. Like, this was about an hour and a half long. There's a lot of stuff that I realized and they ended up having to lie to me about. Like, I realized that Natalie was killed, and they lied to me and said that somebody else had been killed, and they were treating Natalie as a missing persons case. Now, this is all evidence that I've been trying to get access to. They wouldn't let me have access, but A&E gets access because they have money.
Did you leave the house at all for the rest of Wednesday?
No, I'm gonna put some people get not anyone specific, but people scare the out of me.
Okay. So then,
I do want to state that during this period of time, when I was having this meeting with them, I had to really, really fight hard to get this meeting, to get them to take a look at my computer, and also you get to see my computer is there. They cut out the parts where we're going through my computer and I'm showing them evidence of the stuff that I've had to go through, the threats and harassment, stuff from Tim Beeson and stuff from Ted Bollinger. And the deputy, or the detective there, this is Jai Rogers, and this is Matthew Peterson. So these guys bullshit me through all of this. The way they try to paint it out is completely different from the reality of it. The media didn't bother to tell anybody, and they didn't bother to tell anybody that I was free to go and that I was no longer a suspect. But they definitely said it to me. There's also the situations with many of the people who were promising to help. They were actually people who were pretending to help me, like Cara Rogers, for example. She actually ended up, she was one of Natalie's ex-stepmother's acquaintance, basically. So there's a bunch of messages between Natalie's ex-stepmother and I. There's all the messages between Natalie Bollinger and I. They're all posted on the YouTube channel, and they all show that I told the truth. But here, this is complete crap.
you go to sleep at the apartment that night? Wake up Thursday morning at the apartment? Okay. Let's talk about Thursday. What goes on Thursday?
That would be Kayla Trujillo's apartment.
Same thing.
Kayla Trujillo was supposed to be trying to help me turn in the abuse by Kenneth Wilson and Letha Plunkett, who I was staying with so that I could try to get help turning in the abuse. Supposedly there was supposed to be help on the Front Range. I'd been going through this for over a year. We've already gone through some of my medical stuff. There is so much of it. I mean, there is a lot. Let's press play. We'll get to see parts where they cut little pieces out to intentionally reword what I'm saying.
I really didn't go anywhere.
Let me turn up the volume.
The apartment all day?
I was there all day.
Okay.
So I haven't left there except to go to the corner store to get stuff.
On Wednesday?
I don't know what days, but everything's there might have been a purchase or two I made with cash, but I'm pretty sure all my purchases were made on my...
Now, at this point, I'm razzled and frazzled, okay? By this point, I've already had people threatening to kill me for over a year. I've had people physically assault me for over a year. I haven't been able to see my friends or family in Boulder without having to risk being physically assaulted over things that I literally never did, and Natalie Bollinger never accused me of either. And we've gotten to see videos obviously posted up on this very channel of the assaults and people using Natalie Bollinger as their excuse. But this is important. This is what people keep harming me over. Not just this. There are hundreds of these. It's not just A&E. I mean, some of these true crime channels have millions and millions of views.
On my debit card.
Okay. And then today, tell me about your day today.
I hadn't gotten any sleep.
I've been trying to phone Natalie all day.
And that is absolutely not it. Says, I've been trying to phone Natalie all day. And that is absolutely not it. Now, what part did they cut that from? Why is it that they chose to do that instead of telling the truth? Why is it that they were able to get this video here of me over hours and hours with Detectives Peterson and Rogers, and my attorney wasn't able to get nothing? Apparently this stuff didn't exist. It was a delusion, a figment of my imagination. They claimed I had never spoken to anybody about the Natalie Bollinger situation, that I didn't try to turn it in. I tried to turn it in repeatedly before she was killed, and I explained that to these guys too. I showed them evidence of people making false accounts in other people's names to harass me under. When you guys want to pretend I'm some sort of a horrible person for the things that I did when nobody else would help, when they wanted to tell me that I had to go back to my predators and tell my predators how it made me feel. Well, you know what? That didn't work. Doing what I was told resulted in me being abused further. Law enforcement was useless. I tried turning it in Nebraska. I tried turning it in Colorado, and I tried turning it in Virginia.
Do you talk to Natalie on a regular basis, or has she talked to you in the last couple of days?
I wish if she talked to me in the last couple of days, she'd be with her family already. I had thought she was in Virginia. I didn't even know she was here. I just wish you didn't have to waste your time on me.
And we're only looking to you for help. That's why we're here, so we don't think you're a waste because you know her.
Thank goodness.
Now, that's how they painted it after Natalie had been dead for, I want to say, 5 years by the time this actually came out on A&E. This is just the YouTube version. And you get to see there's hardly anything there, and it definitely doesn't show that I was telling the truth the whole time. They cut all of that part out. Why is it that they were allowed that access and I wasn't? That very much shows that I told the truth. And in every single court case, every single one of them, I got treated like I was schizophrenic and delusional, and they just won't come off it despite overwhelming numbers of psychological evaluations that show that I am neither schizophrenic nor delusional. Repeatedly, police officers were relying on them being police officers to be good enough word to claim that I was schizophrenic and or delusional. Over and over and over again, they tried to paint me as some schizophrenic, delusional idiot who's either lying about everything or hallucinating it. And we've already shown many times on my channel that no, I don't have delusions. Multiple psychological evaluations state very clearly that I do not have delusions. But one of the things also is that I'm having to deal with, in many cases, women who have already decided my guilt and men who have already decided my guilt. When they realized I was telling the truth and that I was not schizophrenic or delusional, they realized how much trouble they were in, because a lot of mandatory reporters refused to do their jobs and sent me around in circles just like they do here in Tillamook before Natalie was killed in Nebraska, Colorado, and Virginia. They were going to get into a lot of trouble because now there was a body. Now, there was a 19-year-old with a gunshot wound to her head. By the way, she was shot by Joey Moreno's gun. That was her boyfriend, the abusive boyfriend that Joseph Michael Lopez spoke about. Her reasons for wanting her life to be over were, number one, her family, and number two, abusive men in her life. These very same abusive men were abusive towards me over things that literally never happened, things that they had done. Now you've gotten to see that this harassment that I'm dealing with is not a delusion. It is very real. And these people have absolutely no remorse for what they've done. They have absolutely no remorse for the way that they tried to frame the situation beforehand, and then afterwards, like they hadn't done anything wrong. Because of the mentally ill tag that they had stuck on me to prevent me from turning them in, to prevent me from being heard, and to allow them, the specific officers by name that I was trying to turn in, to repeatedly do harmful things to me, threaten myself and my friends and family. Yes, officers did this in multiple jurisdictions. They don't show the part where they're talking about how they want me to go to Boulder, or how they'll bring me my computer the next day, even if it's in Boulder. I still haven't gotten that computer back. Supposedly it was going to be used in Joseph Michael Lopez's trial. Well, it didn't get used in the trial. What's so horrible is that when we sat down with my computer and looked at it, are they showing that here? Of course not. By the way, December 29th, 2017, Natalie's twin sister, Alicia Bollinger, called me. And she wanted to know if I knew where Natalie was. I told her no. I'd also been instructed by the police to ignore them and to pretend that they don't exist, which it was the hardest thing to do at that point in time. I had 3 people that I knew who had missing loved ones. Shauna Sinclair's daughter was missing. Mandy Singer's son was missing. And Natalie Bollinger was missing. I get treated like these are delusions, and people harm me over them everywhere I go. And I try to turn it into the police, and the police send me to mental health. Mental health refuses to look at the evidence. They say, oh no, I don't have to look at the evidence, I believe you, and then they do nothing. I am disabled. We've gotten to see my paperwork. It shows that I do, in fact and indeed, have Asperger's, which is high-functioning autism, as the modern qualification goes. All of these show that I am not schizophrenic or delusional, and all of their crap is based on keeping evidence out of court and preventing me from having an honest court date by calling me delusional over and over and over again, saying I'm unable to aid and assist, calling me mentally ill over and over and over again. They show how I reacted after long-term abuse. They don't show any of the times that I begged nicely, any of the times that I called the police to explain the situation and was blown off. And then there's the suicidal ideations tool that they use to harm victims who are being bullied to the point that they do want their life to end. When I say that these people are trying to bully me into killing myself, I already showed evidence on this very video of these predators doing exactly that. This has been going on for years. And of course, Tillamook DA wants to pretend that I'm delusional still. They refuse to acknowledge any of the psychological evaluations that I took that state very clearly that I am neither schizophrenic nor delusional, and the things that they assumed were delusions were, in fact, facts. See, this is A&E. A&E. It says 11.6 million subscribers. It only has 780,000 views or so, but some of these have millions. This is obviously a repost. The original video here was posted in 2023, and that was the same month that there was a massive influx of threats and assaults against me, including by Andrew Wolnez here in Tillamook. And there's also the situation with Alicia Bollinger going missing repeatedly, and every time she goes missing, people threaten to kill my sister and my niece and my friends again and again. Well, it turns out that those friends weren't friends anyway, and it also turns out that now that we're not friends, nobody's threatening them. I'm very calculated in what I do. When I raise my voice over the volume around me getting too loud, that's not me yelling at you. But there are absolutely videos here where you can hear me yelling at people. You can also hear a lot of people intentionally trying to reword what I'm saying so they don't have to do anything. And then they pretend later on that I never tried. They lie to witnesses and tell the witnesses they're not allowed to make a report for somebody else when that witness is trying to make a witness statement. That's not a report for somebody else. That is a witness making a witness statement, and police have outright refused to take a statement from any witness who tries to say anything that's helpful towards me. Like, for example, all of the witnesses in the Natalie Bollinger situation. But there's more, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you some stuff from witnesses here in Tillamook about Andrew Wolnez, who's been proven to have used Natalie Bollinger by name as his excuse for doing this, claiming that I did things to her that Natalie never accused me of. When I was trying to get help, it's because people were not just threatening me and harassing me, they were actually assaulting me, starting in October of 2016. And I couldn't get anybody to listen, they just wanted to give advice. I got paperwork and my disability stuff that says what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to a friend or family member. Otherwise, I'm at high risk of being blown off. This is evidence from a woman named Lori Craig here, and it's about a situation where I was trying to turn in vandalism, threats, assaults, all the stuff that I've been going through, and a lot of it had happened within like a 2-day period, and she speaks about the situation of Deputy Martinez blowing it off. This one's from Marcia Estrada, January 25th, 2022. I had to flee Nebraska because they were not advocating. However, it says the most common symptoms of this it says I've been seeing Sean Schwartz on a weekly basis for outpatient therapy since completing a pre-treatment assessment on October 18th, 2021, in the Scottsbluff jail, by the way. Like I said, they'll ship you to another jurisdiction so you can't turn them in. When you try to turn in a cop, this is the crap they pull. It says, during this evaluation, Sean describes symptoms he experienced on a regular basis, from The information he provided, I have diagnosed him with post-traumatic stress disorder. This comes from years of trauma and inconsistencies in a person's life, often starting as a young child. I also believe Sean to be on the autism spectrum, which causes difficulties in adapting to social settings. The most common symptoms of this disorder are anxiety, hypervigilance, and a feeling of impending doom. It does not appear Sean experiences any hallucinations or other psychosis. He does not meet the diagnostic criteria for schizophrenia. This is obviously a photocopy. You can see how long I've had the photocopies. It says, I, Mona Napier, was sitting outside Safeway on my break, talking to Sean when Andrew is walking down the alley towards the bank, yelling, screaming, and cussing at Sean mean while Sean and I were having a conversation. Contact information, Mona Napier, and then her cell phone number. Now, her dad has been stalking me, harassing me, and assaulting me. I even saw him once today. Well, is it after midnight? Yep. I saw him yesterday on Christmas. He didn't say anything to me, thank goodness. This is my arrest record. I am willing to show it to investigators. This arrest record actually, I'm willing to show it to anybody. It shows that I have never been charged with any form of child abuse, any form of sexual abuse. None whatsoever. None. It also shows I've never been charged with murder. There's a lot of mistakes that were made in my psychological evaluations because of assumptions. Even these big-time doctors made assumptions that were wrong. And my hospital stuff shows that, obviously, it's not just accusations, there's actual injuries. But the cops still want to proceed, and so does the DA, with pretending that these are delusions. Same thing with Tillamook Family Counseling Center. And care. Anyway, these are obviously not delusions. And since every single court case that I have had since Natalie was killed has been a court case where I had to deal with police officers trying to diagnose me with delusions. Literally, police officers who I was trying to turn in for crimes that they had committed in the Natalie Bollinger situation before she was killed. Yeah, these officers, after the fact, tried to pretend that I was schizophrenic and delusional. Pretended that everything that I was saying was made up, that I was just crazy. Wanted to pretend that nobody would ever harm an innocent person after they've been spouted out on the local news and a bunch of TV channels, and later on A&E, making me out to be some sort of a psycho that was out stalking little girls and probably killed somebody. And people were harming me everywhere I went, and people who I thought were my friends were so messed up on drugs and alcohol, and I had to try to stay at those places to get help. I also had to try to turn in Kenneth Wilson and Letha Plunkett. I also had people in Natalie's family that were in contact with me claiming that they were trying to help. They wanted to turn in the crimes, that they were afraid of Ted Bollinger. I mean, this encompassed so many different people, and I get treated like it's all a delusion, something that I made up in my head. All because my predators chose to call me mentally ill instead of fess up to the fact that they screwed up, they made mistakes. And this goes across the board. What Natalie's family did to her was horrible. We'll get into that next.